Sarah Burns. I've published my latest book under the pseudonym of S.C. Burns, my initials. And it is a Wild West story that's very clearly based on Bakersfield. If you know anything about Bakersfield history, you know, the country western scene there, kind of a Wild West town established in 1850. So Cooksville is based on Bakersfield, and it is an exciting story that leads from 1846 all the way into the 21st century. Getting it published, this was my third historical fiction. I am a historian, and I've been teaching U.S. history, women's history, African American history, Western Civ for 29 years, including 20 years here at College of the Canyons. So it was a new experience to publish again in 2021. There aren't so many publishers using agents now. Most of them want you to submit your documents directly to them. And it was interesting to see the response. And so I want to share that with you and walk you through publishing the print book and then going to Audible, because it was a very mucky process. There are so many scams out there. And so I'll share that with you. So, will the real Amazons please stand out? When I got to the Audible process, that was the problem. There are a lot of fake, and they use the name Amazon, and they make themselves look a lot like Amazon and tout their publishing abilities. So, but first of all, I'll talk about how I chose a publisher, where to begin and who to approach. And like I said, it's not my first rodeo, but if you're not already well known, you know that it's tough to get published. It's easy if you're Oprah Winfrey, if you're on the Today Show, if you're a movie star, a radio star, a singer, an athlete, you're going to get published. But if you're not, you've got to work to promote yourself. And so that's what I kept in mind. My starting point was to search for publishers, and so I mailed by email. You don't have to do the bulky mail your manuscript in anymore. You can attach it and send it in digitally. And so that's what I did to a plethora. But of course, you first of all look for those, for me, who wants to publish historic fiction, whatever your genre is, who's accepting at the current time, because some of them get their fill and they're no longer accepting for a while. So you look through the lists. You can look at the Writer's Digest online now rather than buy the thick book, and find someone who's accepting your genre, and if they currently are. So what industry do they publish for? For me, of course, it's historic fiction. In this case, it was Western history. So what type of submissions are they asking for currently? Once it's identified, you've identified the publishers that are accepting, you start mailing your copies. Most accept by email or digital submission, and then you wait to hear a response. If you've done any publishing at all, you know that you want to hit the biggest number possible so that you get some kind of acceptance, but you prepare yourself for rejections, but don't give up. I waited for a while because I already had something else in mind, but I knew the ropes somewhat. I don't have to get an agent. I go directly to the publishers. And before long, I received an exciting offer. Maybe some of you have heard from Pegasus Books. I had some on my shelf, so I was excited to hear from them. My daughter was there at the time. She said, "Oh, Mom, this is who you want." But there was an interesting twist here. They are Pegasus Publishers, Cambridge, England. That was the real deal. And when I heard from Suzanne Mulvey, she requested my signature she offered me a contract right away and said that they only respond to about 1/10 of all the manuscripts that they receive, but the contracts apparently vary from person to person. So here was her response. Dear Sarah, please see the attached. I read it carefully. I knew it was the real publishing company. And this was her email, okay? I thought, this is where I'm going to go because it's an international publisher. But it's not as simple as it sounds. Like I said, the contracts differ from person to person. Their offer included fees. I maybe should have considered it further and responded with a counteroffer. There was a $4,000 publishing fee, and that wasn't so bad. I might have considered it except for the details in the contract. Decent royalties. This is what turned me off. If I'm offered a film contract of any kind, TV, movie, media of any kind, they get 50% of the income, Pegasus would, and they must be included in all decision making. I immediately thought, my hands are tied now. If I say yes to them, I go through this process every single time. I had confidence in the contents, and I wanted to have complete choice to turn it into a screen, writing process to, as we've done, we're at least the Audible. I don't know if Pegasus would have taken control of Audible, but I suspect so. So I had already had the idea of selling on Amazon as I have before, and I didn't want Pegasus involved in that. So this gave me confidence, and I did not accept that because I had an independent publisher that I had been communicating with as well. So before making a decision, I continued searching, and I eventually went with a publisher that gave me 100% control of everything, of the ebook on Amazon, of the print book, of any future. I could take it away from them and publish elsewhere. The Audible, all of it is in my hands, and that's why I went with Outskirts Press. They are in Denver, Colorado, I believe. They were really great to work with, and the package that I got included a lot of services. The contract was below $2,000. It included marketing assistance, 10 books, press releases, and much more. So I was completely happy with the graphics too, the cover of the book. I liked that. I got to choose my book price and royalty scheme. Now, it's not like 50%. There's a range. You charge more for your book, you get more royalties. And so I chose the price range and the royalty accordingly. But I have 100% control over all the media rights, and that's what I wanted. That's where I went. And then the money I saved from not publishing with Pegasus, I hired the Anthony Mora Agency, which is exactly how I met Larry eventually. But there was a process involved here. He's a great man. He's in North Hollywood, and he represents a lot of big clients. He's been in business for over 30 years, international public relations firm based in North Hollywood. So it's a monthly fee. We put together a 3-month package, and he has clients that have been featured in Time, Newsweek, 60 Minutes, CNN, The Oprah Winfrey Show, The New York Times, Los Angeles Times, and much, much more. Now, Oprah didn't call me. I didn't get to go on Oprah's show. I didn't get to be promoted by her. But I got a lot of busy advertising work for a long time. Lindsay Blick works for him. She booked me on one of my local television channels, several radio shows, podcasts. I was featured in numerous magazines. That was the most notable around the Los Angeles area. So I do recommend them if you are independent and you want control of the process. It's a great agency. There was a price to pay. Come on in. Come on in. Hi. There was a price to pay, but the advantages were real, and I had access to sources I would have had difficulty reaching on my own. They didn't know me. I teach over here. I'm not circulating in LA. So I got a lot of activity immediately, September, October, November, December, into January. The agency represented me, and I had a great time. However, one problem developed with this agency, not with the agency, someone that they put me in contact with. And this is something that it is one of your worst nightmares in putting your heart and soul into a work and the fear that someone's going to rip it off. So this is what happened. Neither Anthony nor I saw this problem coming. He's a very ethical man. I like the agency a lot. Without naming names, it's not the full story, but one publicity agent whom he'd hired to work the last couple of months with me, she didn't feel like, and I didn't feel like she did an adequate job. But when the contract expired, then we got it all wrapped up. I may go back sometime to the agency, but this person offered to help me a little bit more. She said, I just feel like I needed to do more for you. And have you considered maybe turning this into a podcast? And I said, well, that sounds interesting. Tell me what you have in mind. We talked. And she said, right now, no, I'm not. You don't need to pay me anything. At first, she didn't want to be paid anything. She wanted to get it started. And she had people in mind to help to do the podcast through, and someone to help her with some of her creativity. She said, would you like to create a podcast for Cooksville, USA? That's the name of my book. I've been paid, but I feel I need to offer you more without charge. Well, who's going to turn that down? That soon changed, along with the content. Additions not from my book. Eventually, I said to her, you seem to be doing a lot of work. Don't you feel like you need to invoice me? So she did for $1,000. I paid her $1,000. The work continued. The man that she wanted to do the podcast, she bumped heads with. I didn't know why he was so upset, but he walked away from it. And so she decided that her close partner could handle the narration and the podcast. I looked up, and neither one of them had ever done podcasts before, but okay, let's see where this is going. And eventually she decides that she wants to add historic content that is not in my book. Now, I've got a 717-page book. There's plenty of history there. But this isn't in my book, so-and-so. And why would you? Well, I just really like the story about California's early history, and I really like studying more. And so I'm looking at what she's putting in there and decide to do a search of my own. I said, where did you get it? I did some research and found a history book authored by a UCLA professor. This is me. I asked her, and she said, oh, I kind of like delving into history. Well, I found this book. Not only was she plagiarizing this professor from UCLA, but she was enhancing the podcast information in a manner unapproved by me. She even wanted to alter the title somewhat. Let's just call it Cooksville, the podcast. And I said, well, that's not the title of my book. And this is supposed to be my podcast. And so she had her partner call me and began to, I think he thought he could psychoanalyze me. He could talk me down and say, I know how you academics are, and you're really picky about your work, but you cannot be successful in Hollywood unless you give people their artistic creativity. And I said, well, so-and-so, this is history, and I've already done the creativity by creating fictional people, and this is my story. And so he belittled me a little bit more and a little bit more, and I thought, this is the way you do business? So I contested this with him several times. Each phone call got worse, and pretty soon her emails were like a bipolar person. Not that I have anything against them, but she turned into another person and slammed my work and slammed my choices. I contested, had stern conversations, and the hateful emails for the two of them began. You academics, you're not giving me enough artistic license. No, because it's my book. Well, it's my art, not yours, I said. Confused about their purpose, I did some research on it again, and this time, guess what? I found a podcast for sale on Amazon. Yep. Cooksville, the podcast, authored by, not me, but Amanda Blake and her partner, Otto Blank, on Amazon. My book is already for sale on Amazon. And this, guess who I called? Guess what, Mr. Mora? Do you know the lady you introduced me to work with? She continued her work after the contract. And I told him what she had done. Not only had she added her own stuff to it, she'd changed the title, and she's selling it without my permission. He called her right away. He was shocked. One phone call to Mr. Anthony at the Mora Agency, Anthony Mora. Amanda was on the hot seat. He had her take that down. The podcast disappeared from Amazon within one day. I don't know how or what she was thinking that she could do this when she says I just feel like I need to help you a little bit more. Anthony was a perfect gentleman and assured me that this would never happen again. Please don't sue her. Don't do the tit for tat thing. She's taking it down. We'll just watch it and make sure it doesn't appear again. So he then introduced me to Larry Sands, right here, who has a podcast, is an experienced podcaster, and we began to work together, Larry and his partner, Eric. He said, Anthony said, if I had known you wanted to do a podcast, I would have introduced you. I said, I didn't know I wanted to until Amanda contacted me. Okay, so we worked for a while and looked at the situation, he and his partner, Eric, and said, how about an audiobook? And I said, phew, that sounds so much better to me because I really would love to have an audiobook. So my print book and the ebook were already on Amazon, and that's where we wanted to start. You get audible.com, amazon.com. There's a couple of others in the deal, but that's where we looked. Well, they began the process of interviewing voice actors, and that's important. You got to have the right voice for the right kind of book, and so they're busy doing that, and I decided, let me go ahead and look at how I can promote when it's ready, you know. So did I have peace of mind right away? For a short while, until something else happened. I thought I was contacting Amazon Publishing because that's what it said. I Googled Amazon Publishing. They said they were the publishing department for Amazon. And I won't tell you yet who they were because it's more than one. So, wow. I negotiated a deal with these guys. I'm searching the net and I'm looking for people, and you know how the little box pops up and you just, okay. And they learned how to contact me right away. And someone was soon calling me to talk about a contract and told me what kind of contract I'd have. And I thought, I said, you are Amazon audiobook. We create audiobooks for Amazon. Yep. I said, are you the publishing department? Yes, we're the publishing division. And so I felt like they must be, because they were called Amazon when I brought them up. By late summer of 2023, we began talks with the real Amazon Audible, Larry and Eric and I. Larry got them on the phone, and I'm talking to them, and I'm letting them know, have you ever heard of a group called Amazon Pro Hub? No. And I said, are they? No, they are not. I said, here's their address. And I went on the line, used the geo thing online and said, okay, that office building on Spring Street, They've got to be, it's like several stories. They must be just one room. And they called the people working on my promotional the base camp. You'll be hearing from base camp. Base camp. Well, when we got to the real Amazon eventually, we found out that they don't call anything base camp, and they're not connected at all. Larry Sands and I had a 3-way conference with an Amazon ACX agent, and that's what you have to find is the ACX. KDP.com. I asked if she had ever heard of the Amazon publisher I was working with. No. They are not affiliated with Amazon. I stated they're not the only Amazon lookalike. I named a couple of others. She was shocked. She was surprised that day. I said, did you know there are so many imitators? She said, no. No, I didn't. She is shocked. By the time I discovered Amazon Pro Hub is not Amazon, I looked for Amazon publishers again, and I got a man, a fast-talking New Yorker, on the phone, and I said, are you with Amazon.com? He says, we are Amazon Publishing, but we are not the selling site. So you're not affiliated? No, we're not affiliated, but we get to use the name Amazon because it was a river first, and we can all use them. Okay? Okay. You're not just trying to lead people astray. Of course they were. Thank goodness my credit card company was willing to block payment to the scammer. They wanted $6,500, and they were going to promote me on my Facebook page and my Instagram and my Twitter, and they were going to create an Audible book. I said, no, I've got someone creating the Audible book. I just, before I realized they were scam, I thought, you're going to promote my book. Okay, but we would really like you to republish your book so that everything can be connected. And again, it's sort of like if you heard my talk before, you get these crazy promotional blurbs that don't make sense, and you get an email from them and they don't know good grammar. How are they going to, I said, I write all the time. I've been writing since I was an undergraduate, and I got first or second place in every contest I entered, so I know writing, and your writers are terrible. You want to edit my book and me republish. So, it was all going awry, and I knew I was being taken. So thank goodness my credit card company put it on hold, did not charge me, no charges for now. And of course, again, I get the hateful emails and the phone calls from everybody at Amazon Pro Hub saying, well, you can try to, but we're going to get that money. We always win. And the man who was talking to me, I'm not sure if he'd ever been to Los Angeles or where he lived. They use that address, but sometimes you get a phone call and you could tell it's a pit of telemarketers in there, and you don't know where they are. But not long after we talked to that agent at Amazon, ACX, the real Audible people, I did some research again, and I found they started suing all those people, all of them. It's like a big lawsuit against all the Amazon scammers, and I thought, maybe I was the, test balloon there. Do it to me and I'll tell on you. And so they, I found that they have been suing them since, I think we talked to them at the end of the summer, and I think that was October 23. This is an article from Publishers Weekly, October 31, 2023. Scenarios. A company contacts a recently published author. I was already published. With an offer to make their book a bestseller. Sometimes these companies tell the author that Amazon recommended them. They offer to republish the book with a new cover. Yep. ISBN and layout, and promise to place it in large retail markets, even though the writer has just done all the work they are proposing. I had. My experience, they wanted to republish the print book and will reconnect you with the ebook. And I said, can't we I can connect mine to the ebook, right? No, you can't, because they tried to convince me my arms were tied. A company with Amazon in its name offers to set up a publishing consultation and get you in the door for a reasonable fee, not me, then keeps pressuring you for more and more money. Read more about the scam here and see our update at the end of this article. So you can find this online if you want to know more. A company approaches you and offers to do a book trailer. They did that too. The first 3 or 4 were just so horrible. And get it into huge markets if only you'll give them money, usually in the 4 figures. This can be in the guise of selling your book to a major studio. There's a fake urgency. You need to decide on the spot because the deal or the offer is going to expire. You hear this from salesmen all the time. It'll expire soon. Breathe and take time. No publishing deal expires in a day. No. Fake competition. There are other authors in your genre they may choose instead of you. Publishing is not about speed or limiting the offer per genre. It's often the opposite. If they think your work is good, a publisher is going to publish it. They're not making you decide on the spot, or I'll publish so-and-so instead of you. Fake deals, they add more services right away to get a better deal. Resist the temptation. They are probably trying to sell you things you won't need, or, in my case, things they couldn't deliver because they didn't have the ability. This is another site to visit. I really highly recommend it. Be a skeptic, start here. Writers beware. There's a lot of good information there to help you avoid, because it took me over a year. It was not long ago that I finally said to them, please stop contacting me. I really like the website you created for me, but that's all I want. They made me pay $2,000 extra for the website. I got my $6,500 back, but they said, okay, it'll be hosted for 3 years. Okay. Be aware if the publisher contacts you first. No reputable publisher is going to search for authors. They don't have to. They're being inundated with manuscripts all the time. You, as the author, must make the first move. That's what this website, Writers Beware. Always Google the publisher, find their physical address, and confirm they are at that location. So that's what I did, and I went on the Google Maps and found that building and saw it and said, no, I'm sure. This is on Spring Street in Los Angeles, and that's another thing I asked the ACX agent. Do you know anything about that? No, we don't know anything about a Spring Street office. So my experience, of course, was in finding that out and asking them millions of questions. I mean, I was just hammering a guy named Danny Morrison, and pretty soon I started hearing from another man, and he sounded exactly like Danny Morrison. He just had a different name. I said, wow, you sound just like Danny Morrison. And he goes, okay, Ms. Burns, thank you. So, yeah, you are Danny Morrison, but you have a new name today. And he put me in contact with a woman who hadn't published yet, but she'd had an even worse experience with someone else. So she thought they were helping her a lot. And I think they were charging her $4,000, and she expected to make this much. And I said, be wary. I agreed to speak to you and to another author in order to test the water. She said, this is my first book and I'm really excited about it. And I said, well, I think you've run into a scam. So let me tell you, instead of you selling them to me, I'm going to tell you, you should back out of this and get away from them and look for the real Amazon, because you can publish, but don't use them. So the next man that I spoke to, he had just been published, so he didn't know yet. And these are the models that they're trying to sell to me. Talk to these people and see how they're doing. Well, they had far less experience than me, and I had to warn them. And they had them prepped to sound real positive, but they were not successful by any means. So ask the community, go on Reddit. That's a site where you can learn about real publishers and successful authors, and don't listen to those people who are pressuring you to republish your book, to give them full control. Everything's going fine except the clicker didn't work. So ask lots of questions about publishing. Are they confident or are they nervous? So I'm going to give you a few examples. Could you have been fooled? Look at these logos. Amazon Professional Publishers. It kind of sells you, doesn't it? You think, well, I didn't know the swoosh sometimes goes that way. So the logo of the Amazon Professional Publishers, they have the logo, Amazon logo font, but the reverse swoosh. So that's a fake. Here's another one. Amazon ebook publisher. They've got the swoosh, it's shorter, and it says ebook, and they don't advertise that way, and it's not the right font. But that's what did it to me. Like saying, oh, well, that's Amazon. You know, you don't think that someone would be so blatant and so obvious as to scam Amazon. Ta-da. Note all of the insinuating circumstances they present. Look at this. This is who I went with. Amazon Pro Hub. Look at the phone. There's Prime Day. Amazon. Huh, okay. Well, this must be a wing of the real Amazon because they're advertising Amazon. And yeah, they don't have a lot of talent behind that, but they're good at scamming. That's the very strange thing about it. This is it. The reviews of Amazon Pro Hub. I loved it. When I finally did, and I found Better Business Bureau gave them such a horrible rating, and here's the reviews. Oh, man. Boy, I thought and everybody was doing the same thing. I thought I was brighter than this. I really kind of laughed at people who got taken by scams. One review, blank continually contacted me to submit $6,000. For me, it was $6,500. To him with the guarantee that I would receive $12,000 in 6 months. There it is. That's what they do all the time. Off the residuals made from my book. If this didn't occur, he repeatedly guaranteed me that I would get the entire $6,000 back right after the 6-month period. The book only made $1,000. It didn't happen. And he was only willing to give me 40% of the $6,000 back. I was scammed. I am a senior citizen, and so-and-so is the most corrupt and dishonest person I have ever encountered. Stay away from this company. I'm pretty sure that so-and-so is the one that I was talking to. The personal information was redacted by the administration. That's why you have the asterisk up there. But that's one of them. And the hits keep coming. You do not want to be a member of this community. Another review, poor communication where they don't listen to your needs. The quality of work is very poor, and when asked for a refund due to their horrible output, they refuse until litigation is brought up. Then they won't reimburse fully. What I started doing is every time I would send an email, I would include my husband's email. He was a criminal law attorney and a family law attorney, and then a administrative law judge for the prison system. So I'd send a copy to him so that they would know a legal person is looking at this too. So they tried to challenge, but my bank blocked them, and I got my $6,500 back. Never, ever use a debit card or a check. Don't do it, because the credit card companies will go to bat for you, which happened for me. I entered into a contract for Amazon Pro Hub to perform marketing, and they failed miserably. They refused to honor the contract or issue me a refund. Do not use this company. They will make you promises and cannot keep them. They are dishonest and incompetent. Incompetent should be in bold, bright letters. I always laughed at suckers who were tricked into sending money to places that scammed them until I lost $620 by APH. That's dregs compared to most people. They use the Amazon name to sucker writers to publish with them, but it's just a marketing business with no American-born employees to guide the writer, and they have no editors. My BK looks like it was written by APU. You know what that PU stands for. Yeah, so that's it doesn't take you long before you realize they don't know anything about writing, but they got your money. Tip for consumers, any dictionary can call itself Webster's, and to my regret, a scam publisher like Amazon Pro Hub can call itself Amazon. So that's, I've been real literal with that so that you would understand. There's a lot of Amazon scammers, but that's the big one. That's really the big one. Other Amazon publishers to avoid, yes, they can publish your book. There are many, but they're not affiliated with the original Amazon. Amazon Book Publisher Services. Better Business Bureau accredited. Real name, Book Writing Cube. They will sell your book on Amazon. It's the publishing service. They don't publish your book, but they will sell it on Amazon. Amazon Publishing Agency, they will assist you in getting your book published. They're not the real Amazon. Amazon Publisher Services helps audio publishers optimize demand. So they're all using the name. They don't do the complete package. No, they are not the publisher. So will the real Amazon Audible please stand up and stand out? Well, Larry found them, thank God. Audiobooks through ACX. Kindle Direct Publishing. It's the same, you use the same kdp.com/Amazon. Use ACX to produce a digital audiobook edition of your book using our marketplace of professional audiobook producers and earn royalties of up to 40%. So they will find narrators for you. I'm using Larry and Eric because he's adding background music, special effects. When they're in the gold fields and it's 1850 and California is becoming a state, you can hear the fire crackling in the background and you hear the mood music, and it's just really great. You're not going to get that if you use ACX to find the narrators, and they'll do a good job. They'll do an adequate job, but we would like to turn this into a series or a movie script, so we wanted the effects. So ACX provides access to thousands of talented audiobook producers and both actors and studios available for hire for a fee or a no-cost royalty sharing partnership, depending. You have a variety of choices there. ACX also provides distribution options to the leading retailers of audiobooks, Audible.com, Amazon.com, and iTunes, as well as their global partners. It's free to try ACX. The address is right here if you want to write it down. kdp.amazon.com and so forth. If you Google it, you can find that as well, but bring up Amazon. Yeah, the KDP will just get you there. KDP. Yeah. Okay. And that's all. Thank you.